Bam! Grand Rising, kings and queens. Grand Rising. And welcome to the Great Debate Show. I'm your host, your favorite Uncle JJ. And as always, I got something to say. Today, what do I have to say? I want to say some things about the college football playoff ranking. For the first time this season, we have the new college football playoff rankings. And I'm going to give it to you from 1 to 10. Also, who won the trade deadline yesterday? As we approached 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, who won? So many moves to talk about, from the Indianapolis Colts acquiring Sauce Gardner, giving up 2 first-round picks and a receiver doing so, to the Dallas Cowboys acquiring Quentin Williams, after some people probably were saying, Jerry, that Logan Smith trade wasn't about anything. Did he do that to call people's bluff? Did he do that because he thought he had a point to prove, or was that always the plan? I don't know. We'll talk about it. Or did the Jets just flat out win for gaining all the draft picks that they got? Or did the teams who didn't do anything at all? Some people would say maybe they won. Because look at the draft price. Look at the price range that everybody had to give up. Everything that people had to give up in order to land these people. We'll talk about it. And my apologies again to fans yesterday that watched the live streams. I said that the Buffalo Bills had acquired Budda Baker from the Arizona Cardinals for a 4th round pick. That was so wrong. I apologize. I was live streaming when it happened, and I didn't realize that said that was one of Mike Tannenbaum's proposed trades. It wasn't officially a trade. I apologize for that. Budda Baker is still in Arizona Cardinal. Okay. And I also have a few things to say about the current state of the WWE right now, where they stand. There's great content on the YouTube channel right now, ladies and gentlemen. The latest episode of Why Triple H is jealous of Drew McIntyre and others. It's on the YouTube channel right now under the videos, the video section. Just click on it. And it's good content. Please go check it out. I also explain why there's other wrestlers like, LA Knight, Austin Theory, Omos, and other wrestlers that just don't get the push or even television time like they should. And I explain why. Also, I ask, why is Ja Morant, or is it time for Memphis to move on from Ja Morant? Check that content out from yesterday. All right. College football. Let's go. The first college football playoff ranking is here, and at number 10, I'm glad that this team is back in the top 10. It's Notre Dame at 6-2. They got off to an 0-2 start, and I was telling people all season long, Notre Dame getting pushed all the way back out of the top 25, and then they gradually put them back into the top 25, barely. I'm like, they're not ranking Notre Dame based off who they played and who they've lost to, and the strength of schedule and all of that, the strength of their record. They're ranking them based off of just their record alone. Now, after 6 straight wins, they're finally putting them back where they belong, and that's in the top 10. Notre Dame, number 10. Number 9, Oregon Ducks at 7-1. Number 8, Texas Tech, also at 8-1. Number 7 is BYU. They're still undefeated at 8-0, but they're number 7. Number 6, right down the road from me, Ole Miss at 8-1. Yeah, 8-1 at number 6. And that one loss, I know why they're still number 6 and probably could still be in the top 5, because they barely lost that one game that they did lose, and look who it was against. Anyway, Ole Miss at number 6. Number 5, Georgia. The Bulldogs finding a way to still hang around, and hopefully for them, they'll get back into that top 4 playoff ranking. And the top 4 playoff teams, if the playoffs started today, number 4 is Alabama at 7-1. Number 3, which is a kind of a surprise to me, is Texas A&M. Number 2 is still the undefeated Indiana. And number 1 is still the Buckeyes in Ohio State. The reason why I'm surprised that A&M is number 3 is because Texas A&M is really good, ladies and gentlemen. They're as good as it gets defensively, especially. And looking at their strength of schedule, who they've beaten, and how they've beaten them, I'm surprised that they didn't at least bump them up to number 2. Anyway, they're number 3. Indiana, not that Indiana is not worthy of the number 2 spot, but I just thought that A&M would probably jump them a little bit. But Indiana is still number 2. All 3 of these teams are 8-0, by the way. Ohio State at 1, Indiana at 2, and Texas A&M at 3. And Alabama rounding it off at number 4. Do you agree with the college football top 4? Do you agree with the entire top 10? One more time. Notre Dame 10. 9 is Oregon. 8 Texas Tech. 7 BYU. 6 Ole Miss. 5 Georgia. 4 Alabama. 3 Texas A&M. 2 Indiana, and 1 Ohio State. The ACC is already playing behind, and it's only the first ranking of the season with no teams ranked. In the college football playoff section, committee's initial top 12 on a Tuesday night. The lone ACC team in the bracket, if it was released today, would be the number 14 Virginia. The Cavaliers would earn a spot as the 4th highest ranked conference champion. Memphis is also number 12 in that mix, and they would go against number 5 Georgia if the playoffs started today. All right, so much for the ACC, huh? And it seemed like it was just yesterday when my Florida State Seminoles upset Alabama week 1, had a few blowouts, and it just looked like it was going to be up for us this season. And then we came back to reality. All right, anyway, that's college football, ladies and gentlemen. I will give you a breakdown of some of the biggest games for week 11 in college football this weekend on tomorrow on a Thursday. I hope you all are having a wonderful Wednesday, and let's get to some more news. If anybody cares to know, the Bears and the 49ers pursued Jets outside linebacker Jermaine Johnson II. They almost landed him on a new team at the trade deadline, according to Jordan Schultz, but again, the Niners couldn't land them, and neither could the Bears. The Bears quickly moved on, and they went and got a defensive end from the Cleveland Browns. I don't know what the 49ers were doing, or if they just said, we're going to stand pat. We wanted him. We're not just going to reach and get somebody that's not him. I'm not a big fan of Jermaine Johnson anyway. I would have much rather had Will McDonald IV or that's really about it. Because Orton, as much as I kind of like him and he fits the system that we run in San Francisco, which I'm tired of that damn wide 9 shit, he still was not, going to be with the team past this season. He's a free agent. So I just think that teams that didn't make a move, it wasn't a loss for them completely. Just look at some of the teams that didn't make a move and why they did. I think some of the draft prices were just too high. We found out yesterday after the trade deadline that the New York Jets wanted a 2nd-round pick for Jermaine Johnson. Now, that is absurd. It's absurd. No way in hell the Niners should have done that. I think Niner fans will be pissed off had they done that. And, I just don't have a problem with them not going for Jermaine Johnson, seeing that is the draft compensation they wanted in return. And not only that, as far as the 49ers go, for all the fans who just want a big key name right now, I'll say it again like I said yesterday. The 49ers traded for Brian Robinson Jr., Bryce Huff, right before the season started. They went and traded for Keon White from the New England Patriots last week for a 6th-round pick. And I'm thinking that's just the best they could do with the draft compensation that they were willing to give up, or the draft compensation that they thought was reasonable compensation or a fair trade. And before we blame Lynch and Shanahan, I don't care what you blaming them. I blame them both a lot. But let's blame them for the right reasons. Don't blame them because they didn't make a trade yesterday. Blame them because they needed to make a trade desperately yesterday, because they can't draft well enough. Because teams that drafted well enough didn't really need to make a move. The Eagles made a few moves this week because they lost people in free agency, but that's after they won a fucking Super Bowl. So them adding Jair Alexander and Jalen Phillips, hey, you know why they were able to do it? One, because they draft well and they let certain players go. So when they pick up contracts like that, it's okay for them. They know how to manage their salary cap. There's flexibility there when they pick up these contracts. If the Niners had gave up a 2nd-round pick, they would still have to pay Jermaine Johnson too, I'm sure, soon. Quentin Williams, Would you have gave up a first round and a second round pick for Quentin Williams? I don't think you would have. And I'm talking to Niner fans right now. I don't think you would have. And pick up his contract? No. Cowboys paid too much. And speaking of paid too much, the Indianapolis Colts gave up 2 first-round picks and a promising wide receiver of the future to the New York Jets. As much as this helps the Colts right now short term, I still won't believe it until I see it. As far as them being a real AFC contender. Like, can they really beat Josh Allen? Can they really beat Patrick Mahomes? I'm not sure of that. Sauce Gardner is not a shutdown corner. He's a decent corner. But he's also a corner that gets way too many PIs, defensive PIs. He just has been a shutdown corner. And even when it does look like he's shutting them down, there's the flag. But again, when you add Sauce Gardner on the opposite side of Charvarius Ward, you've got 2 long, lanky, long-arm cornerbacks that can, really disturb some of these wide receivers, on contact with the ball, get a lot of PBUs maybe. They don't have the best speed. You could put some shorter, faster guys on them and they would probably burn them sometimes. But, look, this helps their secondary, and a good secondary can somewhat help a lackluster pass rush, which is something else that they were looking to get. I'm going to say that for the short term, this helps the Colts out. I don't blame them for going for it all. I don't. They were 7-1, now 7-2, and they've got a good opportunity to win the AFC. Can they do that though? I won't believe it until I see it. And just adding him, I think they still gave away too much. So with that being said, I'm going to say that the New York Jets is the team that won this trade for now. Why? Because they just gained way too much with the players that they let go. They lost Quentin Williams, yes, a good player, but not a great player. They lost Sauce Gardner, a good player, but not a great player. And he hasn't been great since his first 2 seasons. That kind of, he's kind of dipped a little bit in his production, and he never was putting receivers on an island now like Reeves. Anyway, this is why I think the Jets won. In 2026 alone, they have 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks. Those are coming from the Colts and the Cowboys. And in 2027, they have 3 first-round picks coming from the Cowboys and the Colts, and their own first-round pick, of course, of their own. That is 5 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks in the next 2 drafts. They won. Now, here's how they won't win at the end of the day, at the end of this when it's all said and done, is if they don't put it all together, if they don't draft well with these picks, if they don't make stars, if they don't find a way to win with a good franchise quarterback, a good head coach. Will that be Aaron Glenn or not? I hope, but probably not. If they don't put that all together like they haven't done in 60 years or so, then they're still not the winners here, and they just got a bunch of draft picks for nothing. We'll see. Now, I can't say that the Jets can't draft because they just let go of 2 players yesterday that they drafted, Quentin Williams and Sauce Gardner. Those are their draft picks. They still have Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, 2 others that could have gotten traded, but they held on to them because they didn't feel like they got the right trade offers. I understand. They drafted those guys too, though. So it's not like they can't draft. They just have a problem putting it all together. I can't really tell you what that problem is as to why they couldn't win with Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Quentin Williams, Sauce Gardner, Jermaine Johnson, who's still there, Will McDonald. I don't understand why they couldn't win, why they can't put it all together. It's just maybe the Jets truly are cursed. But as of now, they look like the real winners to me because I just think Dallas and Indianapolis gave up a little bit too much. But I understand why the Colts are reaching and going for it all. They have a shot here in a wide open football season full of injuries where there's no clear-cut favorite. I get it, and for that, I respect it. But the Colts better win because if not, we're going to look back on yesterday, November 4th, 2025, and say, remember when the Colts gave up 2 first-round picks and a receiver for Sauce Gardner? And if they get nothing out of him, or if they win nothing, with him, not going to look like a good move at all, and it's going to look like they definitely reached. Okay. That's it for the draft stuff. I'll say the Jets win that. And again, Buffalo had a chance to go get, what's his name? Jacoby Myers, but they didn't land him. Pittsburgh tried to get him too. They couldn't land him. I think it's because Jacksonville gave up a 4th-round pick along with the 6th-round pick. That's probably something they didn't want to do in Buffalo. Tough luck. They didn't come up with anybody. They didn't get Jacoby Myers or any other receiver. Chris Olave didn't get dealt. They didn't get Shaheed Rashid. He went to Seattle. And I want to say they're the real winners, but I hope Sam Darnold folds in the playoffs like he normally does. I hope he does. I pray that he does. But I've got Seattle number 1 on my NFL top 5 power rankings. That episode dropped yesterday where I spoke on that. If y'all didn't see it, go check it out. You'd be surprised who's in my top 5. Seattle was in there, and they're number 1. And I probably should say Seattle won this trade. They gave up a 5th and a 4th round pick in 2026. This is an explosive guy. He has speed, and it was a good move. But because the Jets got so many picks, I'm going to say the Jets. In second place, though, I would say it's Seattle. That is a dangerous, dangerous move by the Seahawks, and it probably puts them over the 49ers and the Rams in the NFC West now. And I don't know what the 49ers are going to be in the next couple of weeks. They're 6-3 now, but looking at the schedule, that could easily turn into 6-6. That could easily turn into, instead of us saying 10-7, 11-6, that may turn into 9-8, possibly. Maybe even 8-9. Because the Colts game, that's probably going to be a loss now. The Panthers game, that could be a loss now. The Chicago Bears game, that could be a loss now. We had all those games as wins, easy peasy. But the rest of this schedule, the second half of the Niners schedule, does not look as easy as it did. That's why Niner fans are bummed out that we didn't get anybody. But I'll say it again. Would you really want to give up a 1st and a 2nd for Quentin Williams? Would you want to pick up those contracts and give up those picks? And I understand that Shanahan doesn't, Shanahan and Lynch does not do well with those picks, the early round picks. I get it. But, damn. I would be more happy if they kept the early round picks, which they have, and Shanahan and Lynch were not there anymore, and somebody that does know how to draft in the early rounds has the job and the opportunity to do so. But before we just put all the blame on Lynch and Shanahan, they do deserve blame for not drafting well enough. That's why they're in the predicament they're in now. But what if Jed York put his foot down and said, hey, man, we're only going to give up a 5th, 6th, or 7th. Rounds 1 through 4 are off limits. And they couldn't do anything but say, yes, sir. Maybe they were told not to give up certain draft compensation. We know the 49ers will pull the trigger at times. We know they'll reach at times. This is the same team that gave Carolina 2 second-round picks and a 3rd or something like that for Christian McCaffrey. We didn't know was that a good move or a crazy move at first until we started watching Christian McCaffrey in a 49ers offense. And we were like, yeah, F them picks. We had our chances to win it all, and we didn't. And I'm afraid we've let that Super Bowl window close. I've said that since we lost Super Bowl 58. And I know people don't want to agree with that, but that's just what it is. Can you imagine this, though? We could have had Sam Darnold as our quarterback for $33 million a year compared to what Brock is getting right now at $53 million per. That contract kind of sounds asinine right now, doesn't it? Just wanted to say that. In other 49er news, let's see here. And y'all, Michael Williams is out, so I understand why y'all wanted more people. And Michael Williams has been okay, but in my opinion, y'all, an 11th overall pick, I ain't with that shit, man. He did not look like an 11th overall pick, and he should look like a star on anybody's television screen, not just when you watch the film. I'm thinking he's more of a 2nd-round pick. He shouldn't have got picked there. If you look at, what's his name right now? The dude in Atlanta, the other guy that played with Georgia, that's the guy that they should have drafted instead of Michael Williams. Had they made the right picks, they always seem to draft from the right team, but the wrong player. I can't think of his name right now to save my life, but the other guy from Georgia, he's on the edge right now for the Atlanta Falcons. Let me look him up real quick. It's just sad, man. That's the reason why everybody's mad. But they should be more mad at the fact that we can't draft, not the fact that we needed somebody to trade for right now. You just can't do that, man. Hold on a second. Let's see here. Atlanta Falcons edge rushers. Let me try that. Jalen Walker. That's what I was thinking about. Jalen Walker played on the same damn defense, the same front seven as Michael Williams. I wonder sometimes what the hell do those guys be looking at? It reminds me of when they drafted Mike McGlinchey, left tackle at Notre Dame, and the guy that was playing right next to him was Quentin Nelson at left guard, and they didn't draft him. That was the better guard. He's still shining bright right now in Indianapolis, protecting the hell out of Daniel Jones. We draft McGlinchey instead of Quentin Nelson and put him on the right side of the damn offensive line. Where is Mike McGlinchey right now? I bet you if you looked at the PFFs, even though I don't really look at that shit, but I bet you if you looked at it or just look at the screen, you would see who's better. Mike McGlinchey is not even a 49er anymore. That should tell you something. He was so good, they wouldn't have let him out the building. And now Jalen Walker, a much better edge rusher. Michael Williams not an edge rusher at all. Why would you not pick the guy who can do a little bit of both? This is where John Lynch probably will get fired if they miss the playoffs this year. And if you look at the remaining schedule, it doesn't look as easy as it once did. And this could very well be it for him. What else did I have to say? They just whiffed on a lot of things. Even when they went and got Javon Kinlaw, that could have been Tristan Wirfs. They didn't get Tristan Wirfs because they were like, we're going to trade for Trent Williams. Now, Trent Williams' time is about ran out. This will probably be his last year. And Tristan Wirfs will continue to block whoever the quarterback will be in Tampa Bay for the next 10 to 12 years. And he's already been doing a damn good job at it for 5 already. We had CeeDee Lamb. We went and got Brandon Ayuk. Not that I don't like Brandon Ayuk, but CeeDee Lamb may be a little bit more dynamic. They like to go with scheme fits. Let's get Brandon Ayuk because he can block. Let's get Debo because he can block and he can run people over, but he's not the best receiver. A.J. Brown was better. Let's get Brandon Ayuk, but CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson are better. But they went with scheme fit. Let's go get Javon Kinlaw. Why? Just because you want to replace Buckner? It's been 5 years since he's been gone. They haven't replaced him yet. They just draft the wrong people. And that's pretty much the sum of this story. And that's why people are mad at what happened yesterday, but they should be more mad at how they can't draft versus how they didn't trade for anyone. And yes, I know they have a lot of injuries. I get that. But those, like bringing 1 or 2 people in was not gonna, I'm trying to find another example I was gonna tell y'all, but yeah, it's just not gonna work, y'all. I mean, why would the 49ers have traded for somebody yesterday at the price that these teams were asking for? First round pick for Trey Hendrickson, second round pick for Jermaine Johnson II. Are you serious? Orton Key, only going to be there for 8 or 9 games. Really? This doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry, man. Why trade for someone within 2 weeks? I ain't gonna lie, will probably get injured as soon as they become a 49er. They'll probably get injuries. And what's that dude's name? Dustin Perry, the strength and conditioning guy. They say he has a terrible regimen over there. They say the players don't even stretch before the games. I don't know how true that is. Hadn't been to a game in a long time, so I couldn't tell you if they stretch before games or not in pregame. But why would they trade for somebody that probably would have got hurt within a couple of weeks and have to pick up their contract and lose those draft picks for a 8-9 game rental? They're mortgaging away the future. It's like having that loan and you're getting stuck in debt and you can't get out of that debt even though you're paying that bill, but you only have enough to pay the principal and you're not putting anything extra toward the interest. And if you're not paying anything toward the interest, then you're going to be paying that bill for a lot longer than you want to. That's what the Niners are stuck in right now until they just say, we got to let these guys go like the Jets did and burn it down and break it down, tear it down to the studs. I mean, if Nick Bosa got traded this past offseason, we'd have more salary cap space. We'd have some draft picks that we probably could have gave up yesterday. But people said, nah, why would we trade away Bosa? He's on IR again. That's why. And he has not lived up to that $34 million a year contract. You extended Fred Warner and George Kittle. They've both been on IR this year. Fred Warner ain't coming back, though, this year. Trying to keep the core together. And yes, that core is going to be even older next year. But you're not going to get this offseason for them what you would have gotten this past offseason. Sometimes you just got to know when to fold them. And you got to know when to hold them. The Niners decided to hold them. They probably should have folded them. That's all I'm saying. All right, I just gave you the draft status. I told you about the Niners and what they did and what they shouldn't have did. I'm not mad that they didn't do anything. I'm the one who's been telling y'all for the past 6 weeks. Let it ride out. The bodies are dropping and they're going to continue to drop bodies because this is what we do. We be dropping bodies. And that Dustin dude has a lot to do with that. Dustin Perry and his whole stricter conditioning regimen, from what I'm hearing. He must be somebody's buddy, whether it's Jed York or John Lynch or Kyle Shanahan. Let's just blame all three. Jed York probably said, I don't want you trading anything more than this. And let's be honest, Jed York has also got them on a tight budget. They spent so much money, how can you blame them? They spent a lot of money over the years that he allowed them to do. They didn't get it done. What is Jed York doing now? He's building another soccer team. And Niner fans, you're probably not paying attention to this, but I got to tell you, not only is he building another soccer team, this will be soccer team number 2, I believe. He is also selling a small percentage of the 49ers to do so. Yes, he's done that a few times here recently, this past year or so. He's selling a small percentage of this. He's selling a few stakes of the 49ers to purchase this new soccer team that he's building. And I think he's more focused on that right now than the 49ers. And until he pulls his head out of his ass, focusing on that soccer team, how can he come and tell John and Kyle, you're doing a terrible job, you're fired? Or this is how it's going to go from here on out. John Lynch has not did a terrible job, but he hasn't did a great job either. And the 49ers missed their draft picks a lot more than they hit their draft picks. And mainly it's just because they continue to overlook the offensive line and they don't address it. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles. They addressed their offensive line, and that's the reason why they manhandled the Chiefs front seven in Super Bowl 59. But in Super Bowl 58, the 49ers offensive line got pushed back and manhandled by the Chiefs front seven. It was the complete opposite when the Eagles played them. That's the difference between a team that focuses on the offensive line in drafts versus a team who doesn't really focus on the offensive line at all in drafts. Y'all, there's so many names that we can name that they have screwed up, from Jalen Hurd to Dante Pettis to Danny Gray on offense, Trey Lance, CJ Beathard, all players that they have reached and moved up for the draft. Jake Moody in the 3rd round, to the defensive players like Nick Martin, 3rd round pick, who can't even make the field. Remember Tavarius Moore? Remember those guys? Drake Jackson, 2nd, 3rd round picks. Solomon Thomas, Reuben Foster. Man, I could keep going and going and going. These are all busts, bad picks. Javon Kinlaw, bad picks. And those picks could have been offensive line. They need to stop worrying about scheme fit, less scheme fit, more best player available. The hell with the scheme. That wide 9 shit sucks, and Shanahan, your offensive scheme sucks. Just get the better player. Everything else will work out. And if he's so good and such an offensive guru, why don't we have a Super Bowl yet? All right, y'all. That's enough of the drafts. I think the Jets won, but I think the Seahawks come in right behind them at number 2 with the pickup of them acquiring Rashid Shaheed, wide receiver from the New Orleans Saints. That's going to be good. I think that's going to be pretty major. Okay, what else did I have to talk to you all about? I talked about the football, talked about the trade deadline, who won. I talked about the college football top 10 AP poll, college football playoff poll. The Grizzlies. I told you all yesterday that, should it be time for the Grizzlies to move on from Ja Morant? Then later on that day, I did a live stream focusing on the trade deadline in the NFL. And there was a report saying that nobody is interested in Ja Morant, according to NBA execs. But then later on last night, we got a report saying that there is one team monitoring Ja Morant. The Grizzlies star is subject of growing trade speculation for the Sacramento Kings. That's according to the Sacramento Bee. Okay. Sauce Gardner with the Colts. Can't wait to see how this looks. Not gonna lie. Can't wait to see how this looks. Again, y'all, some teams like the Philadelphia Eagles, they have put significant draft capital in their offensive line. Their current offensive line right now includes a first-round pick, a second-round pick, 2 second-round picks, a third-round pick. The biggest difference in their performance, again, like I said, and the 49ers in their respective Super Bowls was that Philly's O-line dominated the Chiefs' defensive front, whereas San Francisco's front five got pushed around. Indianapolis, who's starting Jonathan Taylor, leads the league in rushing. With the quarterback Daniel Jones, he's having a career year. It boasts an offensive line who has a first-round pick, a second-round pick, and 2 third-round picks. Imagine how fresh Christian McCaffrey would be if he was running behind an offensive line like they got in Indianapolis. That's what happens when a team addresses the offensive line. Yep. All right. I think I'm pretty done with all of that. Jake Brendel, the backup. Jake Brendel is going to come back, we think, this week. But his backup, Matt Hennessy, when you look at those two, you don't really see that much of a difference, do you? That's why when we see somebody else come in on the O-line, we say, hey, they don't look that bad. No, just because they're both pretty much backups, and Kyle has them as starters. No other team sees Jake Brendel or Matt Hennessy as a starter. Then you got Ben Barch. From Ben Barch to Connor Colby. And then you got from Connor Colby to Spencer Burford. It has not been noticeable, perhaps because they're all backup caliber linemen. Things are so hectic during this season that John Lynch has little time for reflection. But when the season is over, hopefully later the 49ers, they need to do some self-evaluation. They need to identify their trends, admit that they overcompensated in a few other areas instead of addressing the offensive line. Robert Saleh is the faithful's favorite offseason signing, that's what they say, but he can only scheme up so much of a pass rush when the starters are all on crutches or walking in walking boots. Kyle Shanahan can scheme away, some weaknesses, but he shouldn't begin the year with the JV squad protecting his quarterback. So I don't know if you should want a new general manager or not. I don't know. But you definitely should want a new approach. Okay. Booyachik won the game last night. He called a game winner in a wild comeback in Chicago as the Bulls improved to 6-1 after erasing a 24-point deficit against the 76ers. What else I got here? But yeah, man, I just want to tell 49er fans that I hope y'all realize that with no Warner, with no Bosa, with no Michael Williams, it really wouldn't be smart to trade a first for Quentin Williams. He's got 1 sack. A first-round pick for Trey Hendrickson, who's on an expiring deal, about to be 31 next month. And who would have gave up a second-round pick for Jermaine Johnson II? Who is it not worth that at all? And who knows what other injuries would have been coming or still are to come. Like Christian McCaffrey, if they keep running him in the damn ground and not using B-Rob, not using Isaac Orindo. Where the hell is Jordan James? I just think some of the fans need to just tone it down, stop crying. And you should listen to me in the offseason in August, in July, in June, when I said, hey, man, if those draft picks don't pan out, you better hope they do. you're going to realize what I've been saying all along. They cannot draft. The one guy who wasn't going to make a difference, one guy wasn't going to make a difference. Between winning a Super Bowl or not. I don't think whoever we drafted yesterday would have took us all the way to the Super Bowl with all the bodies that we got out. I just don't see it. Let's just hope that we've got a young and promising D-line right now with C.J. West, Alfred Collins. Even though I don't really think that's the case, but we'll see. They're still young, wet behind the ears. Let's see. Y'all tell me Chris Kassurk is so damn good. I'm waiting to see. All right. Jed York, will you come on and please stand up? That's what I'm waiting on. It doesn't seem like he's really got the money. While everybody's complaining about it, it doesn't seem like he got it. Like I said, he's building another soccer team right now, and he's selling pieces of the franchise to do so. It should be pretty obvious. Okay, the Cowboys did get Quentin Williams yesterday, and they made a lot of trades, if you want to think about it. Since Michael Parsons got traded away, they have landed cornerback Khalil Elam, linebacker Kenneth Murray, yesterday Logan Wilson, Kenny Clark, Quentin Williams yesterday, George Pickens, and quarterback Joe Milton. Jerry Jones is slowly putting some stuff together, y'all. He still got that other draft pick from the Packers. He's got one more left in the pocket. He's going to use that in the draft. And let's see what he does with it. And let's see how the Cowboys come back next season. And Quentin Williams will be back next season as well. All right, let me focus on wrestling just for a minute. I just want to give you a quick update on what I think is going on here. Does anybody remember when Randy Orton was speaking to a fan and somebody was recording it? They were backstage after WrestleMania. And the lady or the guy, the couple was telling them how much they spent on a WrestleMania 41 ticket. And it was like $30,000. $31,000, I think, to be exact. And Randy Orton, remember the visual? You saw the footage of him like, you serious? 31K. And you can literally hear him saying that's embarrassing. And do you notice, ever since Randy Orton spoke against the ticket prices, thanks to TKO, ever since Randy Orton spoke about those ticket prices, he has been slowly removed from TV. And I ain't even gonna say slowly removed. He's been gone again. Disappeared. Where's Randy Orton? He's Scooby-Doo. Where are you? He doesn't even make appearances anymore. This has to be something personal. Where the fuck is Randy Orton? Where the fuck is AJ Lee? But yeah, Randy Orton, I think, is being punished. And I was told LA Knight wasn't even on Monday Night Raw this past week. Could it be because of this sign that he took from a fan week before last on Raw? And it said we want LA Knight, not Jey Uso? The production crew covered that sign up with LA Knight's name. That was supposed to be at the bottom, not way up here where the sign was at that he was holding. He wasn't even on TV this past Monday night. Why not? Why not? So yeah, y'all, TKO is to blame, but I think fans are finally starting to catch on. I hear the last few events have not been sellout crowds, and it's been obvious that there's a lot of empty seats in the building. Good for you fans who are saying fuck that. And you can blame T.O. for the greed part, no doubt, but Triple H is still responsible for some of this dreadful booking. The Triple H honeymoon is over, ladies and gentlemen. You shouldn't want somebody running a company who, just only pushes the people that he's buddy-buddy with. The real WWE soldiers, not the people who stand up and say what's right, say what needs to be said, like Randy Orton. The ticket prices are crazy. It is embarrassing. But you ain't really seen him on television since. He's been getting slowly pushed away since they caught on to that, or since somebody put that in front of them and said, look what Randy Orton said. Ric Flair was right. He knows that there's a reason. And he said it. He said Randy Orton, he says what he got to say, man. He's outspoken and maybe he's ruffled some feathers. He has. And you're forced to watch bad television, bad creative, where you've got people like Randy Orton who should be on television. Looks great too, by the way. Knowing Triple H is probably just because he looks great at his age. And he doesn't want you to think that no other wrestler has the physique and the workout regimen and all of that he did when he was in his prime. Some of the reasons why he hates and he's jealous of Drew McIntyre right now. He looks to par. So does Austin Theory. You don't never see him on television. LA Knight, maybe in a smaller stature, but he 4 or 5% body fat. And look how he's getting screwed around. Drew McIntyre getting screwed around. Can't win one championship. Really? I'm tired of the WWE and how they do things. I'm going to try to give them one more chance now that CM Punk is the World Heavyweight Champion by default. Jade Cargill is the Women's WWE Champion by default. Because I think Tiffany Stratton really is hurt. And she's going to have to, she may be away for a while. Now, if she comes back and she has another rematch with Jade, then okay, maybe she's not. Maybe this was a part of the book. My apologies. But if we don't see Jade Cargill Tiffany Stratton for the next month or so or longer, she really is hurt. I hear she's injured. No Austin Theory on TV, no Omos. They re-signed him just to send him to AAA and do some stuff. Do what they're doing over there and put it on WWE television. Why don't you want Omos on television, man? Why don't you want Austin Theory on television? He looks the part. He looks like a wrestler. Put him on television. But you'll push the shit out of Sami Zayn. Okay. Using white men to play luchadors and bury the real luchadors. Do we even know why we got this El Grande Americano bullshit? When is it going to come to an end? What's the purpose of it? Where are we going with this? What's the story? What's the meaning of it? Ludwig Kaiser could be in this damn tournament, which is stupid also, a 16-man tournament for John Cena's final opponent, but instead of him being in that, he's busy wearing a fucking mask. An Italian, or whatever the fuck he is, playing a Mexican. So for you all that think that I play the race card and I just want black people on top, no, it's not that. It's just that I want everybody that deserves the push to get the fucking push. And that goes for the blacks, that goes for the luchadors, that goes for the Japanese, that goes for anybody. If they deserve it, give it to them. Give it to them. Where was Io Sky and Rhea Ripley? Where are they at? Where's AJ Lee? Where is Randy Orton? When's Lash Legend going to come to the main roster? When's Jada Parker going to come to the main roster? What else is there for Oba Feeney and Trick Williams to do with NXT? God. We truly are in the ruthless depression era. We truly are. Triple H said on Monday that on Twitter, he said tonight's Monday Night Raw will change the landscape. The changed landscape seems to be 2 Brawns and 2 Pauls in the division. Is that what he was talking about? Man, please. All right, y'all, that's enough for me. I am out of here. Y'all be safe. Have a wonderful Wednesday. And tomorrow, on a Thursday, I'll come back and I will give you college football picks for week 11 in college football. We'll talk more about the college football rankings that they have out now. And we will preview Thursday Night Football. As a matter of fact, who is on this week's Thursday Night Football? Monday night's going to be a great game. Philadelphia at Green Bay. But who's playing this Thursday night? Oh, some trash. The Raiders at the Broncos. Never mind. I'll give you that prediction of that preview tomorrow as well. Until then, y'all be safe, and please don't forget to follow The Great Debate Show on all social media platforms and subscribe to The Great Debate Show on YouTube, because you just never know when Unc might pop back up. Until I do, y'all be safe. Peace.